to get you, Barbara.
Ever played skin the cat?
Someone's in the back seat! Tell me where you are, John!
Wolfman's got Nards!
Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel and welcome to the spoiler review for Scream 6. If you haven't seen the movie, then please don't watch this video because I'm going to be spoiling this film to heck. If you haven't seen it but you want to see a review, I done a non-spoiler review a few hours ago, so check that one out if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, or if you don't mind spoilers, then watch the rest of the video, and obviously after it you can leave your comments and just spoiler the whole movie to FUCK. Anyway guys, let's get into this spoiler review. So at the start of the film, we're introduced to a character called Laura, played by Samara Weaving, and despite what people say, she's not playing a British actress in this film, she's playing an Australian, her native that she's playing. So it is an Australian girl who is a professor at a college, and she's meeting up with a student at a bar, and she gets a phone call from someone supposedly called Reggie, and it's just his normal voice, and she's talking to him and he's like, oh, I'm lost, can you help me find where I am? And being a horror lecturer, she does slasher films, that's what she specialises in. She goes against all the tropes and goes out to try and help him find the bar, and she ends up in this lane where he wanted her to be, and Ghostface pops out and kills her. And it happens very quick, and I thought after it happened so quick, there must be more to it. Turns out there was more to it because the Ghostface revealed himself at the very start of the film, something that we've never seen before, and it turns out to be Jason, not Jason Voorhees. Turns out to be Jason. Seeing it from his point of view was very interesting because we'd never seen that before, and I thought, are we going to see the killer? Well, I didn't think this, I knew he was going to die, but I was thinking to myself initially, are we going to see the killer throughout this film? And seeing it from his point of view, because that would be interesting. I wouldn't be against it if they'd done it well, but the fact that it was Jason, I thought to myself, there's more to it, he's probably going to die, and it turns out he did die, but not before we found out he knew Tara, he was on campus, and he had an accomplice called Greg, and the both of them get killed by the real Ghostface, and then the title card comes, and I thought, okay, that's more like an intro to a Scream movie. Like I said in my non-spoiler review, this is an intro that I'd never seen before, seeing someone get killed by the killer who also then gets killed as well. So I'm not saying they're a copycat, but they probably would have been a Ghostface killer had they not been killed by the real Ghostface. After the opening, we're introduced to the legacy characters, the current characters, and the new crop of characters. They're living in New York now, some of them are going to college as well. In this one, the balance between Sam and Tara is interesting because Sam is only in New York to look after Tara, but Tara feels like she needs to get some breathing space. Sam is always following her, finding out where she is, what she's up to, and because Tara is at college, she's trying to experience that college life. She's trying to put the past behind her, whereas Sam can't do that. Not only is she related to Billy Loomis, but she just can't forget what happened. In the meantime, there's rumours going around that Sam is or was the killer from what happened in Scream 5, and that Richie is the innocent one. Most people knew it was a gag, but some people were conspiracy theorists and they genuinely believed that that's what happened. Sam's now got a love interest called Danny. He lives across the building. Nobody knows that Danny exists apart from Sam. They know that he exists from just looking across the window, but there's more to it than that. Sam doesn't really want people to know about Danny, and she also doesn't really want Danny to know about her past either. We've got Ethan, who's Chad's roommate. We've got Quinn, who is Sam and Tara's roommate, and we've also got Annika, who is Mindy's girlfriend. We also find out that Quinn is the daughter of Detective Bailey, who's in New York as well. Quinn mentions that her dad followed her to New York City. He transferred to New York City Police so they can be closer to her, and she also mentions that she had a dead brother, and as soon as that happened I thought, okay, the movie spoiled. When we look at the legacy characters, we've got Kirby. She's also back. She survived Scream 4 and she's now an FBI agent. She's been investigating Ghostface for quite some time. And we've also got Gail Weathers, who's also back, which the annoying part about Gail Weathers was in the last movie, she said that she wasn't going to write a book about what happened and with the events of Scream 5, with Dewey's death and stuff. And it goes completely against the grain. She goes back to the original bitchy Gail Weathers. She wrote about what happened. She completely shat on everything she said that she wouldn't do in the previous film, and that's one of the big issues I have about this film, guys, is the reasons behind the decisions that were made in the film, especially by Gail. And I genuinely believe that they only wrote her like this so they could get the punch in like they did in Scream 1.
I'll send you a copy.
It's not only Gail that's written badly, there's just no depth to the decisions that were made in the film. Some characters made conscious decisions, but we didn't get any reasons behind it. It was just like a current flow of issues all the way through the movie, and that is thanks to the script, that is thanks to the dialogue, and just the decisions that they made in the film. Gail being one of them, because it was almost like they wanted to give us those meta moments because they thought that that's what we wanted to see, but it's not. We wanted to see character development, and character development went backwards in this one because I liked all the characters better in the previous film. Sydney is only mentioned by name in this film, and she's all good. If we look at the pacing of the movie, the pacing of the film is actually quite good. It's over 2 hours long, but it didn't feel like that. There was always something happening, whether it was good or bad. There was always something happening, so you weren't bored, which is annoying because for a film that I didn't really like, I wasn't bored either. I mentioned in my non-spoiler review that Mindy was annoying, and yes, it's amped up to 110% in this one. Mindy was the most annoying character in the entire movie. There was a scene, now they go to college, it's just like Scream 2, it's almost like a requel of Scream 2, that's what they're trying to tell us, and they force feed it to us every 5 minutes, especially from Mindy. Now, there was a scene where Mindy is giving her speech at college. She's trying to tell us the rules of a requel or a sequel to a requel, similar to what Randy was doing in Scream 2, but she's just not Randy, and the way she does it is just so embarrassing and so cringy. I just wanted to hug her and say everything's going to be okay, and I feel sorry for the actress that plays Mindy because the writing, the dialogue was just bad. For a brutal movie, there wasn't that many intense moments. I think the most intense moment in the film was the ladder scene, and I think the issue with the ladder scene, as good as that was, we saw most of it in the trailer, and what we didn't see, we could clue it together in our heads as to what would have happened in the finished product. So I do like watching trailers, I do like dissecting trailers, but sometimes I want the trailers to give us something that isn't going to happen, and for a Scream movie, for the marketing for Scream, I thought that was going to be the case, but it wasn't. Looking at the trailer and then looking at the movie, you can just piece it together dead easily. Now, because the movie was so fast paced, I kind of forgot how the shrine got the way it did. You can maybe correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think Jason and Greg started to collect all the memorabilia, or I thought they were trying to collect all the memorabilia because they did have some of it at the beginning of the film, and the real killer, or killers, got wind of this because they found out that Jason and Greg were planning on killing Sam and Tara, or especially Sam, and the killers thought, you're not doing this, we're doing this because we've got a better motive behind it. Because Jason and Greg's motives were similar to Richie and Amber's motives. They just wanted to make a sequel, etc, etc, and they were crazy. So the real killers decided that's not going to happen, and that's how Greg and Jason died. But I can't remember if it was their storage or their shrine initially, and the killers took it over and added to it because of a specific reason that I'll get into. But yeah, that's the reason that Jason and Greg died. The scene on the subway in the trailer is in the movie, of course, and it was okay because I quite liked the lighting in the scene. The gang gets split up from Mindy and Ethan, one of the newer characters as well. They got split up from them, and Mindy always suspected Ethan as being one of the killers, and she keeps on saying, stay away from me, Ghostface, stay away from me, killer, and she says it too many times to the point where I was just so annoyed. Again, it's Mindy. But there was a scene where those two were on the train. Ghostface came up to Mindy and stabbed her in the stomach, and I thought, okay, Mindy's going to die, that's perfect. But after she gets stabbed, Ethan finds her, he takes her to safety, and he gets her to the hospital, and she's going to be fine. She even has time to crack some jokes and say, oh, Ethan, you weren't the killer, haha. And I'm like, damn it, Mindy survived, and not only did she survive, she's still giving these awful jokes that just don't land. The shrine is the main finale, which I thought would have been the case anyway, but they go to the shrine a couple of times. And then when they do get to the shrine finally, Kirby's already there and she locks the place up when the gang are in there, and she says it's secure, it's like a kill box for Ghostface will be able to catch him. But after this moment, Detective Bailey calls Sam to say, you need to get out of there. I've just found out that Kirby was let go from the force a while ago and she's a disgraced officer. So we're starting to think, oh, maybe Kirby is going to be the killer. After a couple of ghost faces seemingly kill Chad, the other girls get away but then bump into Kirby and they're like, oh no, Kirby, you're the killer. And Kirby's like, I'm not the killer. The usual back and forth that you get. And then you see Detective Bailey coming in to save the day, and Ghostface runs behind Detective Bailey and they're like, oh, watch out. But turns out Bailey is the mastermind behind all of what's happening in the film. This is when things go from okay to not so good. Now, with the reveal of Bailey being the killer, I instantly thought he was going to be the killer alongside his daughter Quinn. Even though we saw Quinn die in the movie, I still thought she's going to be the killer. And then you've got Ethan, who's also the killer, who I also suspected was going to be the killer because he was too innocent. And Mindy kept on calling him Ghostface to the point where he was probably going to be Ghostface because of Mindy's dialogue. Thank you, Mindy. So I guessed all three correctly. Now, the only thing I didn't guess was Ethan being related to Quinn and Bailey. He was their son. And I thought to myself, but there has to be another twist. And there was. It turns out they did have another son who died, and I thought that was going to be Richie. And ding ding ding, yep, it was Richie. Richie was Bailey's son, and they were getting revenge for Sam killing Richie. Even though Bailey being a police officer and finding out that his son was a killer, surely he would understand why Sam was defending herself and killed Richie. So instead of getting revenge for his son's death, he should have accepted it because Richie was a bad guy. But they couldn't. Now, the reason I knew straight away who the killers were within the first 10-15 minutes was because Quinn was having a conversation with someone, I think it was Tam and Sarah, or one or the other, and she says, oh, the reason my dad moved to New York City Police is to be closer to me, and my brother's dead. And I'm like, you've just given away the movie. Why did you have to say that? They didn't even have to say that they moved to New York City. They could have just said that they already lived there, and that was it. So just to add that in, I thought you've just given away the movie within the first 15 minutes. And after she said that, I was watching the film all the way through, suspecting those to be the killers, and lo and behold, I was right. I think it was a very poor reveal and a very uninteresting motive. Yes, it was a motive at the end of the day, but it was a very uninteresting motive, not very creative whatsoever. Very similar to previous films where it's either they're getting revenge for someone or they want to copy the movies. But I think the most disappointing part about this one is not only are they getting revenge for someone, they're getting revenge against someone who wasn't part of the legacy cast. And so that of itself, it feels like its own separate film, almost like a Stab movie. This felt like a Stab film and not a Scream film. Yes, the legacy characters were in it the least, but I wanted them to build on the new characters or the current characters, but they couldn't do that. They went completely backwards with that, and they went so far back that I wanted to see the legacy characters more. I wanted to see Sydney come back, I wanted to see Gail more, I wanted to see Kirby more, but we just didn't get that. They were all backseat characters for these current crop of characters that just weren't good. If I'm being honest though, I don't think I've been satisfied at all with any killer reveals in all the Scream movies apart from Scream 1. I think you can't really beat the shock value of the killer reveal in Scream 1, so anything after them is not very shocking and not great. But at the end of the day, those character reveals or those killer reveals, they were revealed in a decent enough film to be able to carry the ending of the film, whereas this one, because the film was okay, I wanted that epic ending, and I got the complete opposite. Ghostface was brutal, like I said, but I also said that all the kills were very similar, and they were. I think most of the kills, maybe 90% of the kills, was a stab to the stomach or the side, and just constant stabbing, stabbing, stabbing. Now, this is an annoying thing as well. Ghostface got quicker at stabbing. I don't know why, but they did. I don't know if it was just Quinn or Ethan or a mixture of both with Bailey, but Ghostface stabbings were just really fast. I think they obviously wanted to make it more brutal, and they did do that, but all the killings were the same. And then when you look at Sam, when she was getting revenge, she was doing this fast stabbing as well, even faster than she did with Richie. I don't know if they were trying to tell us something, like she's going to be the killer in the next movie. She was going to go nuts for the next film. I don't know, but it was pointless anyway by doing that, because her stabbing motion, them all doing this at the same time, it was quite embarrassing. They do give us another Easter egg in the film where Stu might still be alive. Now what makes this scene interesting was it was a conversation between Mindy and Kirby. Now Kirby is an FBI agent and she didn't debunk that theory either, and being an FBI agent, surely she knows if Stu is alive or not. So I think because of that little Easter egg, that little nugget, there is still hope for Stu being alive for Scream 7. I guess a part of me was also kind of disappointed that we didn't get Stu in this film either, and I know that a lot of people are going to say let it go, Stu's dead, and that might be the case, but because the movie was so bland all the way through it, and with the killer reveal at the end, I thought, okay, this is really bad, a really bad motive, a really bad reveal. Maybe there's going to be another twist at the end where they all get killed by another real Ghostface, and it didn't matter if it was Stu or not. I just wanted that to happen, and it didn't. So the ending of the movie was just so disappointing that A, we didn't get Stu, and B, this is all they got to give us. But there is, like I said, still hope for Stu to return in Scream 7, and his motive for returning hopefully as an eventual return for Neve Campbell as Sydney. If we look at the very end of the film though guys, it was almost like a Marvel movie where everyone survives. Now Gail was attacked in her apartment building, she looks like she was just about to die, but we hear that she survived, she's in hospital and she's doing well. We've got Mindy, who also survived the stab. Not only did she survive, she was strong enough that she could get up from the hospital, make her way to the crime scene at the very end, and even had time to crack even more jokes. And it was so annoying. So her surviving, I wasn't agreeing with. And as soon as she survived, I thought to myself, Chad's probably survived as well, even though there's almost a massive impossibility for him to survive what happened to him. But Chad also survived as well. Kirby also survived too. Now I don't mind Kirby surviving because she has a good character, but nobody is dying in this film. The film was closed with a complete ending. So if there was no other Scream movie after this one, it would be, to them at least, an acceptable ending. But there's also room for more Scream movies, of course, because Sam and Tara are still alive, as are most of the cast as well. But I just hope that they learn from the mistakes in this one. Now I know that this film is getting some good reviews, but I think overall the reviews will dip. I don't see myself liking this film any better than I like it at the moment. I think maybe it will decrease over time like most movies do, so that's not a good sign. I just hope that they can redeem themselves if they do a Scream 7. I hope they do a Scream 7 because it will be this mini trilogy by Radio Silence, but please don't give us all those meta moments. I think the meta moments were good and subtle in Scream 1. It was okay in Scream 2, but after that they got a little bit worse. I think Scream 6 is the biggest culprit for all these meta moments because it was totally in your face. Every scene, or well, at least almost every scene had a meta moment in it, and it's almost like they wanted us to be impressed by that, and I wasn't impressed at all. I wasn't impressed by any of those moments in the film, mainly because most of those moments came from Mindy, and her character was the most annoying in the movie. But overall guys, I'm very disappointed in the film. Wasn't a great film. They weren't good killers. It wasn't a good killer reveal. Yes, we got 3 killers. It was new. It was a family of killers, but it wasn't good. I just think that being a family of killers maybe was supposed to shock us, but it didn't shock me because it was so predictable. It was so predictable that Richie was their sibling, their brother, their son. I was disappointed, guys. I have to be honest. I know that this movie is probably going to be like Halloween Ends. Some people are going to love it. Some people are going to hate it. I don't love it or hate it, so that kind of contradicts what I just said there. But I don't think it was a good movie. I think it was okay. Was it a worthy entry of a Scream franchise? Don't know. It was just an okay film. Very forgettable, very blah. Everything was happening, but nothing was happening. It's just one of those movies that just didn't really make sense. It's almost like they rushed the film, and I thought that from the beginning. I thought they were going to rush this movie, and they did. And in the end product, you can tell that the movie was rushed. So, kind of disappointed, guys. I hope you weren't disappointed. I hope some people enjoyed it. But as always, guys, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think of it. You can spoil the movie to shit if you want, because this is a spoiler review. As always, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.